Do you ever suspect that life is a one-sided game run by some invisible mastermind? That you're merely a pawn on his chessboard, moved around by his will and his whim, without any real choice of your own? Do we really have free choice? Or are we merely passive little puppets with God pulling all the strings? Today we're going to take a closer look at this matter of our free will and see if we can get off this chessboard. Welcome to The Evidence. I'm Dwight Nelson. Okay, here's the picture from the first chapter of Genesis. God creates Adam and Eve. He puts them in the Garden of Eden, and He forbids them to eat of the fruit of the tree of the knowledge of good and evil. Then He allows them to be tempted. As a God who sees the end from the beginning, He had to know what would happen. Did He purposely set them up for a fall? Were they bound to eat the forbidden fruit? Did they have a choice? Did they have free will, or were they being manipulated by God's sovereign will? Theologians have devoted entire books to questions like these, and we've got only a half hour in The Evidence to wrestle with that question. But I'm grateful that joining me to help us think through this issue is Dr. Gene Sheldon from Pacific Union College up in Northern California. Gene, nice to have you.
Thank you, Dwight.
This is the $6 million question. God, all-knowing as He is, sees the future, knows that Adam and Eve are going to crash and burn. Why did He even bother creating them?
Well, it seems to me in order to understand that question, it is the most important and probably the most difficult question to answer in the universe. But in order to do that, we need to lay everything out on the table, because God is more than just foreknowledge. He has power, foreknowledge, and moral character.
Okay.
Now, power is something that's very important, and we tend to think about God in terms of being all-powerful.
He can do it all.
He can do it all.
Yeah, everything.
And He knows it all. The idea that He knows it all. And then moral character. But when we talk...
When you say moral character, what do you mean?
Moral character meaning that what drives God may not be power, may not be foreknowledge,
but some ideal?
but may be the way He is. And in terms of love, in terms of truth, honesty, and in terms of freedom.
Okay.
And if that's the case, maybe it complicates the picture somewhat.
So God has all those three: power,
foreknowledge,
moral character. And He still creates Adam and Eve knowing they're going to crash and burn. So what's going on?
Well, it seems to me that if His ultimate goal is to not have beings that are programmed but freely love Him, then perhaps what drives Him then, as I said, is His character, and that controls His power and His foreknowledge.
So what part of His character is controlling this? I mean, what's at work here? He has a tree. Okay, I mean, we have the story. He has a tree. And He says, don't go to the tree. What's He doing? I mean, it's like telling a child, I have two kids, and when they were young, stay away, and the moment you say stay away, the child goes. So God has set them up for failure. What's going on here?
He's also set them up for choice.
So it's the issue of choice. The tree's there for choice. In what way?
To give us the privilege of saying no to God.
So it's like a voting booth.
Yeah.
Yeah. You go to the tree, no. Stay away from the tree, you're saying yes to me. Yeah.
And that is all driven by a sense that true morality cannot exist apart from freedom of choice. That is, if I love someone simply because I'm controlled, then I cannot be it is not totally genuine.
And Gene, this isn't only a theological concept, is it? It's a political concept. We talk about democracy where you have choices. We're big on choices. Yeah. So God apparently is big on choices too.
But I wonder how many who go to the voting booths are really making a freely given, thoughtful choice, or whether they're just following the crowd.
And would that be true morally as well?
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah. This whole issue of human freedom and choice, I want to come back to that. And I want to invite somebody to join us when we come back. We'll have Dr. Frank Gonzalez joining us with Dr. Gene Sheldon. Stay right there. We'll be right back.
I Learn English, you can also on Hello Channel.
Our next guest is Dr. Frank Gonzalez, a theologian whose voice is heard in many parts of North America and throughout much of South and Central America as well. He is the speaker of La Voz de la Esperanza, the voice of hope.
That was very well said.
Frank, good to have you at our table.
Thank you, sir.
We've been having a conversation here, Gene, Sheldon, and I, about God's foreknowledge. So he makes this pair in the garden, knowing that they're going to fall. God's faced with an ethical choice. Gene, let's just pick up where we left off. What's that ethical choice for God?
It's power versus moral character, in my opinion. In other words, I have the power to do something, but is it the right thing to do? And can I limit my power for the sake of some greater purpose? Or must I act a certain way just because I have the power to do it?
But then, Frank, knowing the future, foreknowledge, God's foreknowledge, does that make the future have to be because God knows it? Is he causing the future by knowing it?
This is a question that many theologians have debated.
You're right.
God is trying, remember, to do things in His image. And He is trying to produce humans, not robots. He is trying to bring heaven to earth, and He is trying to create real individuals. And we as parents know that, we would prefer to program our kids' activities from the morning to the evening. We would like to tell them everything that they should say and they should do. But
And make that bed every single day.
And you know what? It would probably work to some extent. But we would have something other than real children. We would develop something that is akin to ourselves, but something that's not real and true. For a person to be true, that person has to make true choices. And
so the fact that God knows that you're going to make that choice in advance is not making you make that choice.
Absolutely
is what you're
not.
saying.
No.
I think that's very true, and it seems to me that the choices that we make, if in any way they are programmed or manipulated, they're not real, genuine choices.
How so?
Well, if I'm told to love my mom, for example, say I'm a child and I'm told to love my mom, and I say, I love you, Mom, but that isn't my free, voluntary response. It's simply I've been told to do it. Then I'm not actually morally responding in love. I'm simply doing what I've been told to do. So if God, by His foreknowledge, actually controls me, something like the law of command, where He's actually setting it down, you have to stop at that stoplight and cross the road there and turn left, whether you want to or not. If that's predeterminate, and I make that move, it's not free and it's not real. I've simply been put there. Likewise, if I'm told, because I've chosen for you to love me, therefore you must, and I do, it's not real love.
But then let's go to the barrio, Frank. Okay, we'll go to the street, because maybe I'm still in the jam. 5 generations behind me, all alcoholics. I'm an alcoholic. I didn't have a choice. I got forced into this.
Yes. Look, in the barrio, we want God to pull some strings, because, because too many things, too many entities are pulling all the wrong ones.
Yeah.
And what we have is a situation where people are seemingly enslaved
Can't break out of the
to an
shackle.
environment in which they find themselves in. They can't break out of that shelf. All of the studies demonstrate that if you're the son of an alcoholic, you have the proclivity, not only in terms of having watched the modeling of a father doing it, but actually genetically you have a proclivity. You don't even...
So am I really free to choose then? Because I'm bound by my genes.
The son of an alcoholic does not have the choice of being a social drinker, if there is such a thing.
Yeah.
But some people say that exists. If that exists, that is not a choice that the son of an alcoholic can make, because one drop of alcohol will make him an addict.
Then I'm not as free as Adam and Eve. God has me in a box. I'm bound by the past.
Yes.
So how do I get out of this box?
I think there's a danger in projecting back to Adam and Eve the things that hamper us today.
Okay.
We can talk about that, but clearly they came from a non-dysfunctional father and a non-dysfunctional background. And they weren't hampered with the things that we are hampered with. And they didn't have the pulls and the tugs in their soul and in their system that the kids have today.
And it seems to me that given that God gave us the freedom of choice as part of His image, then we have the freedom to create our children with all kinds of problems and thus limit their freedom and actually shortchange them in terms of the image of God. And it seems to me that that's what has happened generation after generation, is that instead of creating our children in the image of God, we have actually had the freedom to degenerate them.
And freedom to do what? Because our moral clarity is impaired. You know, when I came to this country, one of the sayings that took my attention was that one that says, and it's very American, it's American as apple pie. You won't find it any place else in the world.
Really?
There but for the grace of God go I. It is an admonition, because our instinct when we see bad people doing bad things and atrocities being committed is to say with a tone of moral arrogance, oh, I'm glad I'm not like them, you see. So when we watch the Kosovo massacres and the Serbs and the Albanians at each other's throats and
War in Iraq,
burning the villages or this or that, we say, we're not like them. But see, no one burned the homes in our village. No one killed our parents. No one violated our women. We did not grow up with being fed stories of atrocities from the time of the Ottoman Empire. And so when you have been subjected to certain situations, that becomes part of your moral vision.
it does, and it's a part of your the baggage that you carry into the future.
Absolutely.
And I want to come back to the moral implications, Gene and Frank, of that baggage. We need to take a break right now. Look, if we've really lost moral freedom because of the sins of our parents, we're talking about the genetic code, our grandparents, great-great-grandparents, whoever, is there any way to regain that free human choice? That's going to be our question when the evidence continues in just one moment.
Looking for a brighter future? Learn English and make it happen on Hello Channel.
I'm here with Dr. Gene Sheldon and Dr. Frank Gonzalez. We're talking about temptation and free choice. All right. You both agree that we've been programmed with this ability to choose within our human system. God values it, Gene. I think you said He values it. It's an ethical value. He cannot live without it. Let's talk about moral choices, Frank. With all the genetics behind me, you used once, I heard you talk about a room. I like that metaphor. Share that with me again.
It's not original with me. It's professor, I don't know which professor I had, but I think it's a classic illustration to show that even though we have this free will, it is severely impaired by what we've talked about, heredity, things that happen to us and so forth. And it is akin to telling a person, go into this room. In this room, it's pitch dark, but you will find that there are these bottles, and all of the bottles have venom but one, which is clearly labeled. We want you to drink, of course, the non-poisonous one. Now the person has a choice, you know, somewhat of a choice. The bottles are there, they're clearly marked, but there's a problem that is impairing that choice, which is the lack of light.
There's no light in that room.
There's no light in that room.
So you have to choose in the dark that one bottle that is life. Yeah. Now, how does that illustrate our moral dilemma?
Well, the way that hits me is that, hey, we need something that will turn the switch on, so that choice will be truly free. Because if I can see things clearly, if I can have the moral clarity, if I can see those bottles for what they are, then and only then am I in the position to make a real free and empowered decision.
That's a fascinating point, because that would suggest that actually, Gene and Frank, God's intervention in the human experience is an act of freeing rather than binding. He's actually enabling us
It's also
to make a free
enlightening.
choice. Yeah. How has God intervened in the human situation? I mean, what does that take us to?
You know what just came to me?
What?
Free will is not only, free there is not only an adjective,
Yes?
it's a verb. Free the will.
Oh, I like that. That's good.
So God gave us free will, adjective at the beginning, but as this will became impaired through the realities of a corrupt world and all of the things that have happened, now we need God to free
Free the will.
the will.
Ooh.
And the statement of the Bible, the good news is that God has done that, that He has taken responsibility, that He did send His Son, that something cosmic, something for every person happened there.
And that had and all of that somehow contributes to my human freedom
Yes.
to choose.
In fact, John, the gospel writer, uses, going back to our light metaphor of the room, he uses that verb. He says, He is the light, talking about Jesus, which lighteneth every man that cometh into this world. And consequently, something happened with the coming of Jesus that is meant to liberate us from even our free will, which is no longer free to make the right, the moral, and the clear choices as it was for Adam and Eve.
So, Gene, how do I, as a human creature, respond to that God act that Frank has just described? I mean, what do I do?
First of all, I think Jesus talked about being drawn by the light.
Yes.
And Jesus is the light. And as a revelation of the character of God, He draws us to the Father, actually, through Himself. So His words, you shall know the truth, and the truth will make you free, means that our focus then has to be on Him as the light of the world. And
Is that drawing that God is exerting on me, is that still honoring my free choice?
well, certainly light can shine on you, you may reject it. And it seems to me that we need to go back a little bit maybe to the fall and to recognize that what happened in the Garden of Eden wasn't just about an apple or a fruit, but it was about the ingestation actually of certain concepts about God and about personal value that set us up for all the addictive behaviors and all of the blaming and the guilt that we have gone through. And that by Jesus coming and enlightening us regarding those very basic concepts about ourselves and about God that we have bought into, then we can be set free. And once we value ourselves, we're less likely to take those bottles of poison. Because I think God could even shine light in the room of those bottles, and we still choose.
Still grab for the
Still grab the poison.
XXX on the
That's
bottle. Yeah. So Frank, what do I do? Okay, so I'm the one seeking this ultimate freedom. What do I need to do?
There's something you need to look at. I mean, the Bible is the only book that I know that says that something can happen to you by just looking.
Look at what? What should I look at?
In Isaiah, God says, "Look at me and be ye saved." But in the New Testament, it's more specific. It has to do with the cross.
Yeah, how do I look at the cross?
Behold the Lamb of God.
So how do I do that, though? Come on, I'm a skeptic, and you're enticing me. I want to do something.
Well,
what do I do?
Look at what happened there, the claims of the gospel. The claims of the gospel is that God did something for you there while you were an enemy, while you were hostile or indifferent. God is not waiting for you to do something in order for Him to do something for you. That's the good news of the gospel. He has liberated you. He has lifted you from condemnation to freedom. He has put you from being a slave to to the things that of your heredity and the things that cost you bondage. He has given you freedom. So it comes with believing that something has happened already, not that you need to do something.
And
but
that in that God
Yeah.
gift, my ultimate freedom can be experienced.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. And within that we are promised the Holy Spirit, which is sent to us to help us with this vision, this light, this moral clarity.
Frank and Jean, thank you for helping us tackle really it's a gut issue of the human journey. Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
I'm going to be right back with some final thoughts. Stay with us.
Learning a new language can be difficult and discouraging, but it doesn't have to be. Hello, I'm Karen, introducing Hello Channel, the revolutionary new channel designed especially to teach English. If you can speak English, the future is open for you, since speaking English means greater opportunity and higher paying jobs. By watching Hello Channel, you are immersed in this valuable language. You'll hear the words being spoken. You'll see the speakers' mouths when they say the words. You'll read what's being spoken in large, clear subtitles. And you'll speak out loud, practicing what you have just learned. There is no better or faster way to learn a language than total immersion. Hello Channel does exactly that. There's programming on every level so you can watch the shows that are just perfect for you. Whether you've spoken a little English, a great deal of English, or none at all, the Hello Channel has something for everyone. Join us for a convenient, affordable, and fun way to shape your future. There's so much in store for you if you'll just say hello.
Have you ever wished there were no such thing as free will? Maybe you think you'd be better off if God would simply take over your life and run it for you, kind of like a benevolent dictator. That way you'd have no temptations, no alternatives, and no wrong choices to make. Of course, that also means you'd have no mistakes to learn from, no lessons from experience, no way to develop moral qualities that differentiate human from beast, and no way to grow in a personal relationship with your Creator. But here's great news. There's a positive alternative for every one of us. By believing in Jesus Christ and depending on His saving grace to free us from bondage to our sinful nature, we can find the kind of liberty God intended for human beings to have when He created our first parents. This is truth, and this truth will set us free. I'm Dwight Nelson, and that's what I believe. Join us next time for more of The Evidence.